Hello, good day. This is the pre-recorded free orientation, and I'll be your coach for today. So if you want to apply for the countries listed here, you have to take an English examination. We have all kinds of various English examinations out there. We have the PTE for Australia and New Zealand. We have the KL Selban in Canada. Ireland and the UK accept the OET or the Occupational English Test, and the USA accepts the TOEFL IBT. But why take IELTS? IELTS can be applied in all the countries I have mentioned. Not to mention that international schools like the Tokyo International University requires their students to take this exam as well. So the influence of this test really is vast. Now, IELTS stands for International English Language Test System. So when you say International English Language Test System, this examination measures your English ability through the four components of the language, namely the listening, reading, writing, and speaking subtests. Now, depending on which IELTS are you going to take, your modules will differ. Your academic module is for student visa application. For nurses in the Philippines who want to become a nurse in Australia, you have to undergo a bridging program, which would take for about 2 years. So you are required to also take this module. Working visa for nurses and medical professionals, such as nurses in the Philippines or in other countries who are Filipino nurses, would like to try their professional work in the UK or the USA, you also have to take the academic module. Now, when it comes to general training, this is where the immigrant visas, fiancé, spouse, and skilled worker visas come into picture. So if you guys fall into those categories I've mentioned, then you will be taking general training. Now for this recording, I'll be explaining to you the difference of these modules so that you may be able to prepare properly in accordance to what you're expected to apply for. So we shall begin. So this is the examination flow. You have to ask yourself, where are you going to take the examination? Because this is also a factor. If you will be taking the examination in the Philippines, then we could expect that your listening, reading, writing exams could happen on a Saturday morning. But your speaking test could be scheduled before, so we would expect it to be scheduled at around Thursday, Friday, morning, afternoon, sometimes nighttime, which is not very convenient for some people. And you could also expect it to be in the afternoon of the Saturday test. There are also some examinations which the listening, reading, writing happens in, or rather on a Thursday, but your speaking exam could occur afterwards. So, pwedeng Thursday ang ating listening, reading, writing, and then the speaking examination would happen after that. But if you will be taking the examinations abroad, let's say you are in the Middle East, you are in Argentina, or whichever country you may be, you should expect that the test would happen normally on the same day. So the listening, reading, writing happens in the morning, and the speaking test happens in the afternoon. So we will be taking a lot about how to take these examinations properly, but we will not go in depth about how those standards work because we will be explaining that a lot soon during our major lectures. So the IELTS listening examination. So in this test, you are given three things. You're given a test booklet that contains your question, an answer sheet where, of course, where you place your answers, and then a piece of pencil. Now you're also given an eraser, but I would want you guys to disregard the use of your erasers because this would decrease your efficiency and accuracy in taking the exam. So my suggestion is that if you will be listening and taking down note and you would be erasing some things, I suggest that you don't use your erasers. But you can use erasers in other situations, like if you want to make some corrections once you're done. So that's when we use erasers. So we will be discussing that during your listening major. So you are allowed to take this exam for 40 minutes exactly. The first 30 minutes of the test is for you to listen to the recording. So you will hear an audio. Okay? So depending on which type of test you will be taking, whether you applied for a computer delivered exam or a pen and paper traditional test, then the test taking strategies would definitely vary. So sir, what's the difference between computer delivered exam and pen and paper based. So as their names imply, your computer based examination is meant for you to take the exams on a computer where you type your answers as you listen. So there will also be a headphone with microphone provided here, and then keyboard, of course, where you type your answers. So if you're not a good typist, then I suggest you don't take it, because you will be listening to the recording at the same time you'll be typing answers simultaneously, which is a very difficult task to do, if you ask me. So if you are a great typist, you're really good at doing the computer or playing with computers, so I suggest you take the computer based exam, because may advantage din ito. Number one, it's a computer based test. um, Filing for the exam would only take for about 3 days before the test. Pwede ka pang mag-book. And then the results will come out even after 4 days. So within 7 days, you have booked for the exam, taken the test, and got the results. So that is how the computer-based test works. But on the actual pen and paper test, you will be taking the exams all together. Same general training, academic, you will share the same recording, same test booklet, same question, same answer sheet. So you will share the same room, same type of pencils. So same recording, you will listen. And then you will be listening to the recording using a speaker. So may malaking speaker, let's say nasa front siya. Tapos you are taking the test with an armchair, tapos separate kayo ng mga classmates mo. Probably mga around 2 to 3 meters ang distance nyo. So, and then once your test is done, so you will be listening to a recording. So like this. Hi, my name is Ian Wall. So question number one, you're looking at your test booklet simultaneously, you're listening and looking at your test booklet, and then the question number one is, what is the name of the teacher? And then you heard, hi, my name is Ian Wall, and I'll be your teacher for today. So definitely, you're going to take down note, Ian Wall on item number one. So that is what you will do. You don't care, you should not care about your answer sheet just yet, because you have 10 minutes for you to transfer the answers to an answer sheet. Take note that most people who commit errors in the listening exam do that when they transfer. So you have to be careful upon transferring. So 40 items are the number of questions you have to answer. So sir, in IELTS, according to my employer, according to the visa application, I need to get this certain band score. So sir, what is this band score anyway? Well, band score determines how many points or how good you are in English, measuring from 0 to 9. 0 means you don't have the ability to use the language, and 9 means you're an expert user of the language. So when you say you're an expert user of the language, then that is our target. Well, basically, the listening exam is so easy. Even without review, you can possibly get a 9. In the Philippines alone, majority of the test takers here are not enrolled in any review centers like this one. So the chance for us to get even a 7 is pretty high, because that is the national average of the Philippines. So without review, they're getting 7, which is a pretty great news for us. So, but of course, since you will be reviewing under 9.09 or Review Center Tutorial Center, we would expect you guys to get 8 or even higher. So getting a 9 in this category is so easy. So 30 minutes to listen, simultaneously taking down notes, taking down notes, taking down notes. That's the most important skill that you have to learn in the listening exam. And then 10 minutes for it to transfer. 40 items, 30 points equivalent, that is 7. So you have to get 30 points as your minimum target score and 40 as your main aim. So that is the listening exam. Reading test varies between academic and GT. So general training, your examination is actually much easier, but you have more passages. But for academic, you have longer passages, more difficult passages, but you only have to do 3. However, both of you guys will be taking the examination for the same amount of time. That's an hour, and then 40 questions. Take note that you will not be given extra time to transfer. So definitely, the test-taking strategies for listening exam and the reading test are very different, because in the listening exam, you're given extra 10 minutes, but on the reading test, you are not given time to do so. So what I suggest is that during the reading exam, this is the most basic testing strategy for the reading test, is that you look at your question. You don't read the passage yet. You look at the question. What does the question want from you to answer? Question number 1, when was zipper first invented? And then you are going to look at the passage, and then on the 4th paragraph, zipper was invented in 1949, for example. And then you encircle 1949, you take down note, and then you're going to transfer the 1949 as your answer right away on your answer sheet, since you will not be given extra time to do so. Here's another situation. A student who did not transfer the answers like that. Na-finish na for 1 hour, but sabi nung time is up, submit your papers. And then you say, wait a minute, I'm just going to transfer my answers. No, you can't, because those test booklets will be burned, will be incinerated, shredded for recycling purposes. So wala tayong habol. So please, whenever you do practices, make it a habit that you will be doing the exact same thing you're expected to do on the exam. Listening, you wait for the time that you transfer. On reading test, you transfer your items one by one during the hour provided for the exam, since we will not be given extra time to do so. Now, there's also a difference in the band score conversion. For academic, same as with the standards of listening, there's a slight difference, but you only need to get 30 points minimum. That will give you a 7 already. So getting a 7 here is actually very easy as well. But for GT, even though your examination is way easier, you need to get 34 points minimum for you to get a 7 band. So meaning, mas madali si GT, but requires you more points to convert it into much higher band score. So you have to do all the things properly. Now, for the writing examination, this is actually the most difficult part of the test. So you'll be asked here to write 2 tasks. You have writing task 1 and writing task 2. Writing task 1 differs according to your module. Writing task 2 is actually the same. So for example, candidate number 1 is GT, candidate number 2 is academic. They will have different writing task 1, but they will be doing the same task 2 for that particular day. So you are only allowed to write the 2 writing tasks here for 1 hour. Remember, we are going to spend different times for them. So in writing task 2, you are supposed to do that first, because this is actually much more difficult and it requires you to write more words. Hence, we will be spending 40 minutes for task 2. Once again, 2 tasks will be given to you at the same time. You begin with task 2 first, and then you do task 1 last. How many times should I spend writing task 2? 60, for 60 minutes. Writing task 2, you have to spend 40 minutes. Writing task 1, 20 minutes. If you could do that much shorter, that would be even better, because that will buy you some time to proofread your work even better. So you will be assessed differently, unlike listening and reading, where you are only assessed through your points, whether your answer is correct or not, and then they will convert that into band score. But in writing, your examiner will be the one to set the standards, and their standards are the following: task achievement, the overall completion of your task, whether you have accomplished a task within the time provided, and whether you have supplied your task with enough information. Another thing that you should be wary about the task achievement part of your test is the number of words. Writing task 2 requires you to write 250 words. That's the reason why we have to spend more time for it than task 1, because task 1 only wants you to write 150 words. So writing task 2 is 250, writing task 1 is 150. That's the reason for the imbalance of the time. Writing task 2, 250, 40 minutes. Writing task 1, 150, only 20 minutes. And actually, task 1 for either academic or GT are much easier compared to task 2. And you will know soon why, because that is the reason why we were going to do the tackling of the ideas here. So coherence and cohesion. Coherence is the idea in which you're going to arrange your thoughts into logical arranged paragraphs, and cohesion is making sure that those ideas are unified together. So for example, if I'm going to write an essay for an agree-disagree format for my task 2, this is how I will arrange my ideas. Introduction plus stand, then reason 1, then moreover, reason 2, and then furthermore, reason 3, and then in conclusion. So you'll be using your moreover, furthermore, on the other hand, meanwhile, to connect those sentences and paragraphs at once. So coherence is the arrangement, so you separate them, and then cohesion is the glue. That's how you connect them. It's the chain, the linkers. All right. So vocab lexical resource, we want to avoid repetition. So if your topic is about the society, the effects, negative effects of computers to the society, so if a candidate will write the word people for 8 to 10 times, examiners would not appreciate that. So you should have to find some synonyms. So people can be replaced with individuals, persons, and you can use your pronouns as well, like them and they. Now, when it comes to redundancy, that's another part of the vocab lexical resource, okay? We don't want the same implication. For example, pizza pie. In Italy, pizza literally means pie. So when you say pizza pie, that directly translates to pie pie. So you just have to say pizza. Or this is the most efficient and effective. Efficient and effective are actually kind of the same thing. So you should have to say efficient. Okay, efficient is actually a better word than effective because it talks about the effectivity in all the realms. So, sir, what about I don't have synonyms? For example, my topic is about schools, public school, private school. So I'll be repeating the word school, and I don't have any other words to replace it with. So you can actually describe it instead of finding synonyms. For example, you can find the word public or government subsidized in replacement for public. And then school can be replaced with educational institutions. So your public school can be translated as government subsidized educational institutions. So that's how you do your vocabulary properly by avoiding repetition and avoiding redundancy. The grammar of the language is actually very important because this is the most common error in writing. So your subject verb agreement, tenses, prepositions, conjunctions, even spelling, capitalization, and punctuation are tested here. So imagine a GT letter that has dear sir or madam without a comma. I'm a customer. A misspelled customer is Costumer, but rather it has to be Customer. So, misspelled word yon. Sincerely, kulang yung E, walang comma. So, mababa ngayon ang points on pagdating sa grammar. So, we'll be teaching you guys with grammar because at 9.09er, we have a lot of grammar classes for you. So, that's it. Now, academic writing task, you have two. You have the static and the process. Statics, under niya si line graph, bar graph, table, pie chart. Si process naman, flow chart, cycles, diagrams, and maps. So total of 8 types. So worst is combination. So you would be encountering a pie chart and then a line graph. So that sucks because you have to use different strategies to convey your thoughts effectively here. So in general training, you only have to do 2. You have the informal, you have the formal. Formal is actually more common than informal. So formal letters like letter of request, letter of application, letter of resignation. Informal like letter of invitation, letter of apology are very common in the test. Task 2, essay writing, we'll be doing that in your writing major. So I'll be explaining to you guys the differences between your agree, discuss both views, open, to what extent, and the new writing task. You think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages during your major lecture. So I will be covering them for 3 hours each. So that's the reason I cannot summarize them right now. So this is the part of the speaking test. All right. The speaking test is the only lasts for 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. When it comes to the type of the test, all right, you'll be spending. This is actually the shortest among the tests. This is an interview between you and the examiner. So you have 3 tasks here. You have task 1, introduction interview. You have task 2, individual long term. You have task 3, which is your two-way discussion. So what are the contents of task 1? Questions about yourself. What is your name? How many are you in the family? Are you working or are you studying? When was the last time you went to the mall? How many hours a day do you spend time using the computer? So all those kinds of questions will be the ones that you will encounter. Task 2 is the part where the examiner gives you a task card. This task card contains your question. And the question here, you will be spending a minute first to prepare using a pencil and paper provided to you. What I highly recommend is that you must not miss even single bullet point in your task 2. Okay, so I'll explain what the bullet points are, how to approach them better on your speaking major. So this will last for 3 to 4 minutes. So overall, the part 1 and part 2 of your speaking tasks are actually very easy because all the questions are things that you already know that has implications, great significance about you as a person overall. But task 3 is how you express your opinions. Most of the time, the topics for task 3 are abstractly related. So there could be some instances when you find yourself unable to respond because of the lack of information. So we would be preparing a lot in advance. So task 1, task 2, and task 3. So preparation is the key and coaching sessions as well. So coaching sessions, I will be pretending that I'm your examiner and I'll be assessing you in accordance to the examiner's criteria. Fluency and coherence, this is the smoothness of the flow of your speech. This is your ability to convey your thoughts effectively. And this is also how you appear confident for the entire test. So you should not be rattled by questions, although some questions might get difficult somehow. we must be able to maintain full composure here. Grammar and vocab I have discussed previously in writing, but the grammar and vocab in speaking is actually much easier because we don't have spelling here, we don't have capitalization, punctuation, but you have to pronounce. Pronunciation is the most important thing in the speaking exam. So even though I'm good at fluency, grammar, vocab, like Kevin, tell me about your place of residence. My place of residence is located in Cabanatuan City, even though it's not the capital city of Nueva Ecija anymore. It's still a center for business where many establishments can be found. Although that is okay in grammar, perfect choice of words, great fluency, responsive. But hindi ito makakakuha ng mataas sa score because the person is not applying the pronunciation and proper delivery. So you should do it like this. My place of residence is situated in Cabanatuan City, in the province of Nueva Ecija. Even though this city is not yet the capital of my province anymore, this is still the center for business where many establishments and commercial buildings such as shops, malls, and universities can be found. So that is how you should deliver your speech in a very confident tone, in a personal tone, friendly tone. That is what we would be training you for your entire review here. So that will be the end of your orientation for today. So if you have any more questions, do not ever hesitate to contact me. So you already know my contact details and the branch details as well. Have a nice day ahead. Good luck on your exams. Bye.